Hey guys, let's discuss why I cover my cake pans with baking paper and how I do it. Welcome back to my channel Dreamy Delights by Sidra. Please begin by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Okay, so let's begin by starting on how I cover my cake pans with baking paper. So first I've taken one strip of baking paper and about the circumference of the baking pan I have cut out a strip and folded half an inch at the bottom. And now I'm going to cut it into thin pieces, that half inch, and rest should be the size of the cake pan plus 1 or 2 inches. It's up to you how much you want to keep, how much your cake rises. You can keep it as much as that. I've been asked this question many times while I post my Instagram stories, that why do we see you putting pans inside the oven with baking paper on them? Many people use cake goop and stuff like that so that the cake doesn't stick to the pan, but I just use this method. I've just put a little bit of oil in the cake pan. I'm spreading it out with my brush. Now again, people use fancy sprays and flour and whatnot for spreading on their pans before they put the paper, but I just use simple oil and it works perfectly fine. Now I'm going to fit the strip of paper that I cut out in front of you guys, and I'm going to fit it inside my pan. And after that I'll show you how I'll cover the bottom. Make sure that you firm it nicely and press it against the tin wall. It should not have like these lumps and folds all around it. The tiny pieces that you cut at the bottom will help it fit nicely around the cake, and you will follow the same method even if you're doing a square cake. Now we'll do the bottom. I've just taken a piece of baking paper and I'm going to fold it like you're making a square. Then fold it again. Just fold it one more time. Equal folds, yeah? And one final time. It's up to you how many times you want to fold. And then when you have it, you're going to see the half diameter of your pan, and then you're going to cut your baking paper in a circular motion. Because we have a circular pan, so we are going to cut it in a circular motion like this. Now when you open it, it's going to be exactly the size of your cake pan, so you can easily fit it in. Now if you don't want to do this, no problem. Just open a sheet of baking paper, put your tin on it, make a mark with a pencil and cut the round out. That is also perfectly okay, whatever suits you. Now press firmly and your tin is ready for the cake batter. See, it is like almost 1.5 inches on top of the height of the cake. And now I'm just going to show it to you one more time quickly, how I folded and refolded the paper and then folded it again in a diagonal. So I've made like a half diagonal sort of a thing. And now I'm just taking half the diameter of my cake pan. I'm just making a rough mark there, and then I'm going to cut it out in a circular motion. There. Now when I open it, I'm going to have the perfect circle to fit on my 7-inch cake pan. And the same, an extra heighted baking paper with half an inch folded, cutting it into strips and letting it to set inside the cake pan. Now while you watch this again, let me address the issue on why I do this. I do this because in baking you never know that if your cake is going to rise more or less. Sometimes it rises more than expected, and if it has this high-rise baking paper available to it, it will have a support system and it will keep rising straight as the pan. If that support is not there, the batter is just simply going to start falling off, or you're going to have a very lopsided sort of a cake and it will not rise equally. With this baking paper support, it just rises fairly, evenly and straight. You will get straight edges on the side. The second thing is that sometimes we have more cake batter but smaller pans. I will show you later in the video where I have Wilton pans that are with the width with the height of 2 inches. These ones are Fat Dad's pans, which are good 3-inch heights, so usually they do not require a lot of height. But with Wilton pans or any old pans that you have which do not have that much height, and if you use this method, you can get a good 2 to 3 layered cake without having to split it in so many pans. This technique will help you to get maximum cake out of your batter. It will not spill, it will not lose its shape. Now my pans are ready. I will show you how similarly I have done with these 2-inch Wilton pans and these 3-inch square pans. Now as you can see that my pans are not full, they have some space remaining, but especially in these circle pans, I have little space. Now when I have baked them, you can clearly see that they have risen above their baking pan level, but they have not spilled over or spoiled the shape. Now that I've taken it out, you can clearly see that my pan was way smaller than the capacity of rising of my cake. My cake batter had much more capacity, and yes, you can divide it into 3 pans also. But then also sometimes your chocolate cakes with some soda rise higher. In this one also, square cake was just about half of the pan, but still it has risen exactly to the top of the baking pan. So this way I'm not worried at all that my cake is going to spill or lose its shape. I know I'm going to get the maximum amount of cake that can be used. So after that, I am going to let the cakes cool inside the pan. I do not remove them from the pans, and when they cool completely or almost like little bit warm, I just place them on cling wrap, and then I tightly firmly cling wrap them nicely, and then I put them in the chiller for chilling well before I decorate them. This technique just helps to lock in the moisture of the cake, and the cakes do not go dry. So if I have a lot of time before I am doing my next order, I will put them in the freezer. Usually my work requires me to bake every day or every other day, and I'm using the sponges within the same week. But you can freeze sponges for a time up to 1 month to 3 months. They do not go bad. Here I'm just trying to show you how much is the height difference, and I can like easily get 2 to 3 layers out of this cake, whereas the pan was just 2 inches. So yeah, I was telling you that with this wrapping up method, you can easily store your cakes for a long period of time. If you're not using them, if you're putting them in the freezer actually, then I would recommend you to wrap them in foil after this. After the cling wrap them in foil and then freeze them. If you're just putting them in the fridge for using the next day or the day after, then just the cling wrap is fine. Do not worry about it, because this just gives very nice moisture to your cake, and the cake is steady enough to be decorated the next day. So it will not like spoil your sponge. And also it depends on your recipe. Like my chocolate cake recipe is oil based, so it definitely has more time, and it's much more moist, and it doesn't spoil that fast. I hope with this video I have answered all your queries about how to cover your cake pans, why you should cover your cake pans, how you should remove your cakes from the tins and wrap them, and what is the best way to store them and how long you can store them. So if you have any other questions or queries, you can write down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. You can join me on my Instagram for daily videos and quick tips on how I do my work. And yeah, my cakes are ready to go in the fridge. See you in the next video with a new topic and something new to learn. Till then, bye bye, and don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to my channel.